Hi everyone, it's Nina Perez from dancetoday.fun, and today I am interviewing Sansorium, which is an alcohol-free marketplace that caters to all kinds of events, including weddings, which is why I brought them to you. I want to help all your couples have different choices when you are thinking about the events, the engagement parties, the pre-events, the after, the reception, and maybe even after any other celebration. This is an option that you need to know about. When I heard about Sensorium, I was so surprised that there was this available, and I was thinking, this is perfect because I'm not a drinker. I've been dancing 40 years, teaching 24 years, and of course you can't spin and drink alcohol. And so I've been used to just, drinking water and juices. But these guys have created alternative beverages for everybody to enjoy their events. So I'm so excited to dig in and ask them all about how this started. So welcome, Kathryn and Sarah from Sensorium.
Hi,
Hi,
Hi.
everybody. Thank you, Nina.
Thanks so much. I'm Sarah. I'm the co-founder and EA of Sansorium, and coming now is the special events role that I'm taking on to help expand us with weddings and all other special events. So yeah, super excited to be here today. Thank you.
And I'm Kathryn, the founder and COO, in other words, the jack of all trades, and so happy to be here with you today and share a little bit about our business and how we can help support all your celebrations.
That's wonderful. And I said the name Sensorium, it made me think, where did that come from? What is the meaning behind the word sensorium?
When we were starting our company, we had the great fortune of working with a company called Glassford and Walker, and we wanted a name that inspired premium, inspired joy and celebration. And obviously sans means without, and orium is from emporium. And so together we came up with Sansorium, and it's really had people thinking. And once you learn about it, you then begin to think, well, what is it about? And that has been our journey, is to educate the public that Sansorium is here to offer you something premium.
Yes, and it actually had that effect on me. When I went and I found out your company and your name, I immediately went in and I was like, oh, this is what it's about, right? I knew the sans meant without something, but I wasn't sure exactly what. So I'm not very good at the Greek or the Latin root of words, but it made me curious. It made me want to go, and then I was pleasantly surprised to see what you guys are all about. And I want to hear the beginning. Like, how did you guys start a alcohol-free marketplace, that as you call it?
Yeah.
So that would be actually my story.
Yeah.
I had worked in corporate for 34 years. I had retired twice and still felt that I had more to give. And at the same time, in parallel, I had turned 60 and started to feel that alcohol was really not working for me anymore. I enjoyed my wine, I enjoyed my cocktails, but just even a couple of glasses, I was waking up feeling groggy and, not sleeping very well. And also at the same time, I read a book by William Porter called Alcohol Explained. It had popped up on my Facebook one day, and it happened to mention about the effects of even one glass of alcohol on the brain. And I have 4 siblings that have got terminal neurological diseases, and one's already passed away. And that immediately, I don't know how I got to the age of 60, never worrying about the brain, always about the liver and the heart. But that one piece of information, immediately, I just said, oh my goodness, I can never touch another glass of alcohol because my 4 siblings would do anything for brain health. But I stopped drinking alcohol that night, and the journey began. I still wanted to have a celebratory glass of wine with my dinner. I wanted to enjoy a nice cocktail. I just didn't want the alcohol anymore. And so we spent another year going to every grocery store, every liquor store in the Lower Mainland, the dusty shelves at the bottom, the high sugar. And it was like, oh, is that what I'm relegated to? Because I'm not a soda drinker. I didn't want a Coca-Cola or a Pepsi, the high sugar in that. And so I started to, Google around the world to see if I could maybe, go to Amazon or something and have some wines brought in, and found a whole world of alcohol-free beverages. England, Australia, South Africa, the US, Europe, was just booming. And this was back in 2020. And if you know anything about Canada, we're about 2 to 3 years behind the world on any trend, whether it be music or food or fashion. And I said to myself, it's coming. I'm from Scotland originally, and decided that, you know what, this is what we're going to do. We're going to bring in alcohol-free wines and spirits, because I felt that there might be other people like me out there that still wanted to enjoy a glass of wine or a cocktail, but just didn't want the alcohol. And so I called my 2 daughters, Fiona and Sarah, and I said, I think Mummy wants to start an alcohol-free company and become an importer. Would you join me? I can't do it on my own. And both the girls said, absolutely, Mummy, it's perfect. We'll come along. And Sansorium was born.
Yeah.
This is amazing. And so it's a family-owned business, and you, Sarah, are involved. That's amazing. I want to touch base before I get into the whole how it's like to work together with your mom and,
absolutely.
and all of that. But I wanted to share that I agree with you. When I was about 37, I thought, you know, I never drink, but now that I don't dance every single night and I only dance more part-time, I'll have a glass of wine once in a while. And when I did, the next day I would have headaches, and I just never actually could. And I thought, I don't know if it's my body just never having alcohol. And now that I'm trying some wines here or cocktails there, it's just the effect. But it was so obvious to me, the effect of one glass of wine on my health the next day, that, you know, my 1 year of experimenting and trying things was really, really quickly like, no, that's not what I'm gonna do. And even one time I drank by accident something that I thought was alcohol free and it wasn't. And the next day, immediately headache. And I was like, wow, my body knows that this is not good for it at the moment, and not good for it, period. And it just has made me, and I think so many people kind of feel like those symptoms are just part of the experience.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And also what's really happening now, and has even happened with me since then, is there's so much more information coming out that people who suffer from anxiety and panic attacks and depression, because alcohol is a suppressant, that all of those symptoms are compounded and they're made worse, and tummy issues and the grogginess. And all of a sudden you begin to think, wow, I've just done a 5K run and I'm now going to have a beer. Is this really supporting my health?
Yeah.
You know, and I wake up feeling kind of groggy. And so it's really the last 4 years, the information that we're being exposed to is really giving a lot of people a thought. And that's actually one of the things about our business that's really important to note. We're not a sobriety company. But we are here to support you in mindful drinking.
Absolutely.
If you're sober curious, or if you still wish to have an alcohol beverage, but maybe on that Wednesday night, you want something alcohol free, and that you're actually being very mindful about when you choose to have an alcohol beverage and when you're not. And we just want to be there to support everybody when they have that choice, and you want to make that journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love that. And so Sarah, you know, just from meeting your mom and talking to her, she's so lovely. I can imagine that the moment she said, come work with me, you were like, oh yes, but I want to hear the story of what made you get behind this company for you. What was the aha moment, or the passion behind that? You're like, yes, I'm gonna stop what I'm doing and come over and work with mom.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it definitely like wasn't an immediate light bulb for me, but it was just the fact that myself individually, I've never had a close relationship to alcohol my whole life. I'm the one of the group that considers myself a mindful drinker, as I have been my whole life. So my friends I'm the mother of my group. I'm like having the one and sipping on it for a while, but I've just never really had a close relationship to it at all. And like everybody that we've met in the community, or just a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people have shared that, you know, they've not had a close relationship and they've just never had an option. And so now I was like, you know, obviously after much discussion and research from my mom's side and just our own internal ahas, we're like, wow, everybody else in the world is doing this. They've got, you know, one step ahead, and it's happening in the UK and Australia, and it's doing really well over there. And then it's like that, like fun drive that we had of just being like, wow, like we could maybe bring this here. Like, let's give options, like, because we hadn't seen it. And like my mom said, you know, we're a little bit delayed in Canada for a many different variety of things. So I just believed in it within myself. And I don't have a lot of business background, but I've got a lot of administrative background. So I was like, okay, like, and like a creative side. So I was like, okay, like I can definitely like see myself figuring it out. And, you know, sometimes you just got to take the plunge. And I'm just grateful that, you know, my mom and my sister, like we all have a very, very good relationship. And I'm a Capricorn, they're a Leo, and I'm and sometimes they're fire and I'm water, and we balance each other out like really well. And I think that's a blessing, because sometimes family businesses can really affect your family dynamic. And don't get me wrong, like it's not been easy. I'll be proud to say that it's been a challenge, but it has kept our brains fresh and keeping us educated and hearing people's stories. Like that has been the most touching part about it all, is that year one, we were hitting the ground running and connecting with our community and educating. And I think that's really left such a positive mark. And that's just growing.
And we also had a very interesting point where both Fiona and Sarah, they actually, I overheard them at one point saying, I never thought I'd work with my mother.
So you're trailblazing in many fronts and actually doing it healthily. I love that. And I want to talk about, you know, when people hear alcohol free, I feel like the first reaction, it's always like, oh, no, you know, I don't know if I could do that. I want to talk about the myths that or the narratives that people are kind of having to deal with or come up against that are actually not true. Because sometimes I share with them about myself. I say, well, I have more fun when I don't drink, because if I do have that glass of wine, I tend to want to go to sleep, and then later I get a headache. So I'm not much fun during the drinking, and then I'm not much fun after with the headache, right? So tell us a little bit about the myths.
There's definitely lots of myths. One of them, at least from what I'm hearing, a lot of it is like, oh, but it doesn't taste good. Or oh, but it's just grape juice, right? Like if they're referring to wine. And this is where our first few years, and I mean, to this day, we are still going hard on sharing the education behind the evolution of alcohol-free products and how far they've come. What it was before was high in sugar, basically grape juice, but now technology and the science and just how far it's come, the quality is just so different. And that's why we at Sansorium are looking for premium products that taste really good, that people can maybe shift their thinking and say, actually, that does taste really good. And, you know, sugars is an important thing for a lot of people. And that's an important thing for us as well. Like, and there's so many companies that are interested in keeping their sugars low and bringing that knowledge to people's attention is where people are having a lot of aha moments when we're having that tasting with them. And that's what we get so excited about, is because we're here to change the stigma. We are not here to change like what you do, like you make that decision and, you know, for your, you make that choice for yourself, but we're here to educate you and say, look, like it has come so far. And because grape juice hasn't been fermented, the wines that we're you know, giving to people in tastings has, and it's gone through a super laborious process to what it is today and what it gets into that bottle. And so really it's just education, and really just not obviously changing the stigma at a natural, organic way when we do tastings just happens. But I think that's where like people are tasting our products and just being like, wow, either it tastes the same or they're like, okay, that actually tastes a lot better than I thought. And so it's a healthy realization of like, okay, maybe I actually can do this. And that's been an interesting experience to be a part of.
And I think that's fascinating, because sometimes we are outdated and we haven't had an experience 5-10 years ago, and things have changed. Like even, for example, the artificial intelligence world, you know, and what we see 10-20 years ago is so different now, and so things evolve, but it's like we haven't evolved in our thinking, and so we're still thinking with thoughts that are archaic, and so the taste has evolved, and so now it tastes more close to wine or better. I love that. And Kathryn, tell me about your take. What are the myths that you like to debunk the most?
The big alcohol has done a fantastic job. It's told us that every celebration, every event in our life, whether it be a christening, a soccer party, a pre-bridal wedding, wedding shower, a rehearsal dinner, and the wedding has to have alcohol in order for everybody to enjoy themselves and to make the celebration the best celebration it can be. And that's what they've been able to do with their advertising. The realization is that there are a lot of people that when you step back from it, if you gave them an option, they might not choose the alcohol. They might realize that they can have a really good time without the alcohol. But what's another myth that a lot of couples and a lot of people that put on parties, they'll say, oh, everybody in my company drinks. I don't have any pregnant women coming to my event. I don't have anybody that's a recovering alcoholic coming to my event. I don't have anybody that's, that's not drinking alcohol for religious reasons. That is also a myth. 75 to 85% of our customers still enjoy a glass of alcohol. But when you say to somebody, is there ever a time that you cannot or you choose not to drink alcohol? And they stop and think, no, I enjoy my alcohol. And I say, are you ever the designated driver? Do you ever go to a meeting and you're the on-call physician, the paramedic, the police officer? Are you hoping to get pregnant one day and you would like to have something in your glass so that nobody knows that maybe you're planning it? Are you pregnant? Are you a nursing parent? Are you the dad that has to get up to support your partner? Are you wanting to go to your wedding and have something delicious in your glass and still go around and greet everybody and enjoy yourself? So the myth is that you don't need alcohol to have a fantastic time because you're enough in yourself.
Totally.
You don't need the alcohol to be sexy, to be fun. You're that by yourself. And so it's actually people realizing, oh, you know what? Maybe I should have a choice of a special gin drink, alcohol-free and alcohol, so that my guests at the beginning of the night can say, do you know what? I know I'm going to want that glass of alcohol champagne during the toast. I might have alcohol-free right now because they're pacing themselves. There's so many reasons to be able to offer options, and debunking those myths about, oh, I don't have anybody pregnant coming to my wedding. I don't have any recovering alcoholics coming to my wedding. That's really when you start to make your plans, you think, you know what? Maybe I should have an option, because what we're finding, when you put the option on the menu, you'll be surprised at just how many more people feel comfortable being actually adding, because a lot of people are still a bit embarrassed to say, oh, I don't want to have a drink tonight, because what does everybody say? Oh, come on, have one, you'll be fine.
If you say, oh, I don't drink, then they feel judged for drinking sometimes. And I've had that experience. And now when you're saying having a glass of wine that looks like wine, but is alcohol free, would be the option that I would like to make people still feel comfortable with their choices and not have to now compare, oh, she doesn't drink, should I not drink? Why am I drinking? Things like that. That also happens in the social situations.
There's so many times, people will say to me, oh, you don't drink anymore. Oh no, I drink. I just don't have an alcohol drink. And that's something, because I enjoy all of our wines and my gin and tonic. It just doesn't have alcohol anymore. And you're right. When you say to somebody, oh, I'm not drinking alcohol, they go, oh yeah, I've been really cutting back. They feel they got to justify themselves. And you don't.
And one thing I want to just add to everything that my mom is just nailing is the fact that when we started this business, what our angle with Sansorium was a healthy dose of hedonism. So the back end of the day, hedonism was a completely different term in an unhealthy way of indulging in anything sexual or anything, but we're wanting to keep up with ritual and keep up with connection and have it in a healthy way. And there is so much of a judgment around, oh, am I going to be the one left out because I'm not doing what everybody else is doing? And
Yeah.
there's a big aspect of empowering one and being like, hey, you have a really good option now.
Mhm.
And it's just empowering from within, giving the people option finally, of something that's really premium and delicious and high quality. And that, like, now that we have these options, just to let it be integrated and be, I don't want to use the word normal, but we want it to be here to stay.
Yeah.
When people say to us, oh, it's just a trend. And I'm like, no, but trends come and go. They have a time frame. This is here to stay.
Yeah.
And it should be here to stay
Yeah.
because it should have always been integrated, but just never had gotten to that point. And now we're at that point where it's here to stay. So here are your options.
Yeah.
You've got lots, so much to engage with connection and not be deprived of, or taken away from, and that's where, when we started, is like, we are here to enhance
Yeah.
an experience and to have that person engage in a fun, party and still have that sense of connection and not be judged, because a lot of people have still that thought in the back of their mind, oh, but like, I'm not drinking, like, do I have to justify, like what my mom was saying, and we shouldn't have to justify, like, that is a personal question, and so really just empowering the person that, like, you've got all these awesome options now. So yeah.
And my dream is that one day every event will see the bartender or the waitress or the waiter walk around with 2 bottles. What would you prefer today? Alcohol or alcohol free? And then, oh, I'm going to have this one. I'm going to have this one. Just the way they would say, you want a burger with or without cheese. I want it to be that normal. That's
And I would be your first customer in terms of also for my dance clients, because I always say to them, drink the alcohol after your first dance, because you don't want to forget all of the moves that we've been practicing and stuff. And so, and they're all okay. And I'm thinking, sometimes I think it's also a habit that people feel like, oh, I need to relax. I need to have alcohol or I need to have a glass of wine. But what if the glass of wine is healthy for you guys? Right? Everybody listening, what if the glass of wine is alcohol free and you can still have that feeling of relaxing and unwinding, but it doesn't actually affect your brain chemistry. It doesn't give you the symptoms and side effects of hangover and all of that. And you can still have your rituals. You can still have your self-care time. And for my wedding couples, they can still be sober and do this amazing dance where actually some, connection, you brought that up, Sarah, is so important for them when they're dancing. They want to actually have great pictures and moments, and they want to look into each other's eyes. But if they're a little bit, fuzzy or whatever, who knows what's going to happen and what's going to happen with those pictures, right? And so I always say to them, just, have one glass maybe an hour before so that you can remove the edge. But I think that this would be an option that I would say to them, because sometimes you can trick the body into thinking that you're doing what you've always done, but this is actually like a placebo. This is actually alcohol.
It is. Oh yeah. And there is much science behind placebo, and and for us, when we first started, our thing was like, it starts with a glass.
Yeah, it does.
If you have a nice glass, no matter what is in that, for us, obviously it's our amazing products we're bringing, but like, truly it starts with a glass. Like that is the part of just whether it's, or if it's a can or a glass bottle, like it's that action, that physical cheersing or that moment, that is where like connection is funded from, and I think we're not telling people to be like, hey, stop drinking. As my mom says, we're not a sobriety company. We're not. I'm somebody who does have the odd drink here and there, but again, that's been my relationship. So that's why we say like mindful drinking is part of our mission. And so our ethos, exactly. So, but it makes people question their relationship to alcohol for sure. And maybe that's a healthy shift. Maybe that's something, because not only are we doing it just from our own personal experience and sharing, and then people learning, science is now doing that work naturally kind of for us, in the sense that what would be considered back then a low to no amount from what that was compared to what it is now, all the Canada guidelines have come out that they're much lower now than what they were before. So it's just that there's a natural kind of shift that we're just here and grateful to be part of, to just talk about our own experience and then just have other people learn with us. So.
And if you think about a wedding, where you've got everybody there, you've got children, you've got teenagers, you've got senior citizens, you've got everybody in between, guess what they can all do? They can all drink alcohol free.
Mm-hmm.
They can't all participate in the alcohol experience.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, if you've got a 7-year-old, a 10-year-old, an 18-year-old, they can all participate.
Mm-hmm.
So
Everybody
you have got me convinced that I want to taste this wine because you've been saying how delicious it is and how premium it is. So I want to talk about where we can meet you. I know you guys are going to be at the next All Dressed in White, or you come to the All Dressed in White trade shows. And everybody, if you haven't heard of ADIW.ca, it's an amazing trade show where you can meet all of us, and we always have interesting giveaways. We have special discounts that are only available at the trade show. And I always tell customers, I always tell the wedding couples, be ready because you're not going to get this deal any other day. So don't just come browsing, be ready to purchase all of the vendors that you need. And so tell us about what you guys do at the wedding show. What happens when we come to your booth?
Yeah.
So one of the great things that couples can do is actually when they come, they will get to taste our wines. They'll get to taste the spirits, and it actually gives them an opportunity to start planning.
Mm-hmm.
The benefit of coming to the show and tasting is, of course, the tastings are free, but also if you need an in-person tasting with family members, because maybe you need your parents to participate in the tasting, you want it to be a collaborative event for the bar menu, you also get that fee waived. That in-house private tasting fee is waived when you sign up for an in-home tasting at the show. And so we do that, and we actually come to you, and you can have as many of your family members there as you want that are important to you to help you make that choice and make that decision. One of the things that we share with the lucky couple is that you're probably going to want to think about 25 to 30% of your bar menu to have alcohol-free options. And so come along and taste with us, and we're happy to help you know what that's going to look like. We also do offer discounts on wedding packages and pre-wedding packages, and so come along to the show. It's a great opportunity to taste and also get some discounts on your upcoming packages for your wedding.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing. I feel like I'm going to invite these guys to do a wine tasting for my wedding couples when I do my next wedding dance boot camp, because it sounds like a great option for people to just try it. If you just try it, you will understand that there's more choice and that you can give more choice to all your guests. And it's not just for weddings. I hear that this is for any event. So birthday parties, any kind of gathering or social mixer. I feel like I have seen so much now connection events. Like I just had my book launch and a connection event as well. And we need people to be themselves and connect. And this idea gives them the choice of actually not having to mask with alcohol or things like that. They can just truly, genuinely be alcohol free and be there and share a moment and connect with others. I really love the mission and vision behind what you guys are doing. And can you say again the website for us to come check you out?
Yeah, it's www.sensorium.com. And then on Instagram, we are at Sansorium __. Yeah.
Just as you see below. And so go check these guys out, book a wine tasting with your whole wedding party. That's what I would do, because then nobody can say, oh, I didn't taste it, or I don't know. And go meet them at the next All Dressed in White bridal shower that you can get to. And of course, come see me as well at the booth, and I will be there teaching you how to get ready for your first dance. Sarah and Kathryn, you guys have opened my mind into a whole new world for me that was not available before. So thank you. And I'm so glad that you talked to our guests, our wedding couples, and everybody listening to this YouTube. Thank you so much for being here today.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nina.
This was so great.